Rather hoping for the best. Remember, Shujaa will be in action tonight at around 9 p.m. Now, we still stick with rugby, and the biggest question has been, or rather has always been, with Kenya playing so well in the World 7 Series, what is stopping Kenya from qualifying to the Rugby World Cup, having in mind that the top teams in the 7 Series also play in the Rugby World Cup? Now, World Rugby sought to find out whether it's possible for Kenya to qualify for the Rugby World Cup. Let's take a look.
Breaking through on the international rugby scene is one of the hardest challenges in team sport. With powerhouse teams dominating the sport, making a name for yourself takes something special. Kenya, or Shujaa as they're more commonly known, have electrified the world's 7 Series with their blistering pace, raw power and fearless game style.
He's got wheels for days! That was just awesome.
Their 7 success is legendary, but there's another story unfolding. As the country fights for Rugby World Cup qualification, their influence on both the 7 Series and Test rugby is becoming impossible to ignore. So how is Kenya's rugby DNA driving their rise across both 7s and 15s?
And with a rallying fan base behind them, could we be witnessing the next big team in the world of rugby?
Welcome to the report. Kenya's legacy in World Rugby started with the 7s, where their blend of speed, strength and skill has made them a force to be reckoned with. Kenya first made its mark in 2009, reaching the Rugby World Cup 7s semi-finals and beating heavyweights like Fiji. Their best moment came in 2016, when they won their first ever World Rugby 7s tournament.
And this is why we just love 7s.
In the wider 7s world, Kenya has consistently qualified for the Olympics, proving they belong on rugby's biggest stage. And now I'm going to speak to a man who understands Kenyan rugby inside out. Former coach of the Kenyan 7s team, the Giza, Mike Friday.
People were worried about playing Kenya because of the physical prowess and aesthetically, they're impressive men. And they're powerful men, they're fast men, and they manage to express themselves so freely. Like, you know, you see the way that they dance, you see the way that they move, and they're in sync with one another. So when they actually start to understand how each other operates, then they become a very dangerous force.
Rugby 7s is a game all about skill, speed, and split-second decision-making. And Kenya's Shujaa have built up a legacy on that. Electrifying pace, fearless attacking play, and relentless fitness. But what happens when those 7s honed skills transfer into the 15-a-side game? Kenya's growing presence in Test rugby isn't just about size and power. It's also thanks to elite handling, fitness, and game awareness that has been sharpened on the 7 circuit. More and more, certain players lead the way in this transition. For Kenya, the likes of Humphrey Kayenge, a legendary 7s player and former 15s captain who helped shape the future of both teams. Collins Injera, one of the highest try scorers in 7s history and Kenya's highest try scorer of all time. And Andrew Omonde, a dominant presence in 7s who has also captained Kenya's 15 side, are leading the way. And Kenya isn't alone in this transition. Teams like Fiji, Argentina, and even South Africa has used 7s as a proving ground for Test rugby success. Could Kenya be on the same path? And if so, how far can they go?
With all the raw potential in the world, Kenya's path to rugby elite should be clear. So what are the obstacles that have stopped them from joining the top of the table? Few people know more about Kenyan rugby than their current strength and conditioning coach, former captain, and all-time great, Andrew Omonde.
So the big thing is investment. So we don't have so much investment coming into the team. So it's just always a struggle to be able to sustain most of them, because some of them have to balance between skill and playing. So getting that balance is something that we've really struggled with.
When we were relegated, our funding was cut into half. And a lot of players struggled because some of these players feed their families off this.
It is tough for the boys when they travel, because they don't get a lot of leeway in terms of extra days to get over jet lag and so forth. Because of the funding, it was always very, very tight. So the adjustments that they have to put themselves through. It's probably tougher than, let's just say, some of the more rugby mature nations who are able to have the benefits that they possibly don't.
Kenyan Rugby is fueled by one of the most passionate fan bases in the sport, driving the growth of both 7s and 15s.
You know, they turn on their tellies, whatever hour of the night or the morning it will be that they're playing, and they're following on social media. They're very passionate, they're fanatical about their 7s team.
Welcome to the Kenyan corner.
Let's go, Kenya! Let's go!
I was in the Kenya corner in Perth. I got stuck in. It was vibes. Yeah.
Kenya's travelling support bring chants, music and electric energy to every single 7 tournament.
Stadiums are a far better place with Kenya corner. And as you see, you start seeing all of these other nationalities start filtering towards Kenyan corner when the party gets started. But it's great to see. It's what the game's about, right? It's about community. It's about one big family, and it's about enjoying the game and enjoying each other's company.
So with all this in mind, how big are the waves the country has been making in the 15s world? Kenya has been a top competitor in the Rugby Africa Cup, consistently challenging Namibia and Zimbabwe for Rugby World Cup qualification. In 2022, Kenya reached the final stage of Rugby World Cup qualifying, coming just one step away from making history. Their physical and fast-paced style, influenced by the 7s, has made them an unpredictable and dangerous opponent in Test rugby. It's still relatively early days, but there's a lot more where that came from. So what's next for Kenya? With continued investment, they could potentially qualify for a future World Cup, mirroring the likes of Japan and Georgia and their rise in Test rugby. Kenya's rugby story is no longer just about 7s. It's about a nation rising in the rugby world across both formats, a growing international presence, and one of the most passionate fan bases in the entire sport. The big question now is, can Kenya take the final step and qualify for a Rugby World Cup?
Well, that is the biggest question. Can Kenya qualify?